guys, it's Ann. I am starting this live. Michael's on his way back, and we're going to start talking to Michael. But I'm really excited about this one because one of the things I love to do is give people information they can walk away with and implement right away. And Michael is really great at that. He's really great at giving you information. Plus, he's always bringing up things that I'm like, oh, I've never thought about that. You know, that's really important. Or the other thing he does a lot is he brings something up that I immediately go, oh, I've got to go tell a client about that one. So I'm excited about having him on. Before I start, I want to remind you guys again that we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So I also want to remind you to help me not be a nerd in my child's eyes. Please go and subscribe so I have more subscribers than I have currently, because he pretty much thinks I am the nerdiest person ever for trying to do this. So prove him wrong. That would be helpful to me. All right, let me go ahead and introduce you to Michael. Hold on one second. There you go. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Hi, Ann. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm excited about having you on. And I know you've got some exciting news about LinkAnnapolis, but before we get to that, I want to talk to you a little bit about AbleSpark and what you do over there. So tell me what you do and why it's important for small businesses right now.
So a lot of what we do is revolving around the idea of personalizing technology. So what we do is we have some things we're going to go over today that people can implement on their own, or if they need help with it in setting up their business processes or setting up new software or just taking control of their information. We actually help. We do a lot of helping people with that. And the solutions for that, and what most people think of us as, is we do web development, we do application development, we do programming stuff. But really, it's more about developing systems that allow you to manage your information better. And that can be everything from a custom database to we're actually helping a lot of people do e-commerce right now, because that's products and services and information people need to get out that, hey, we're still open, we're still available. So we're actually helping people with that as well. So it's all revolving around the information management of information and the different ways to make communications and things like that better.
That's great. You know, and I think so often people think that I think they think software engineers are something that is either above their pay grade or something they're not going to understand. And that's not you guys at all.
No. We go out of our way to make sure that everybody understands what they're doing, and that it is that our clients really understand what they're doing and how they're doing it. We try to put things down. We try to put things into terms that are easily to understand. And I will tell people, if I get into geek speak, or if I see you with that deer in the headlights look, stop me, because if I get excited and enthusiastic about something, I might start going through a bunch of things. And I know this actually took place in a meeting that I was in. I used to work for the government, and everybody was talking about everything. And I said, guys, we are suffering from TMA. And everybody said, what's TMA? I said, too many acronyms.
Exactly.
So, I tell people, just stop me at any point. And, if you don't understand something, I have used examples of filing cabinets. I've used examples of building cars. I've used a lot of examples to try to help people understand what we're trying to get to.
Yeah, well, and being on the receiving end of that, I agree. I think you are really, really good at that. I think it's really, really helpful. All right, so we have to talk about LinkAnnapolis, because we were supposed to have a big party Tuesday night, right? We were going to be having a great big party at the Byzantium, and we had all kinds of things planned because it's your 10-year anniversary. But we're not. Instead, we're doing something online. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Right. So what we've decided to do, and it was kind of a short notice because we were really struggling with how exactly we wanted to handle this. But what we're doing is we're doing a Zoom networking event in honor of the 10th anniversary of LinkAnnapolis. And how that's going to work is we've got registrations out. We're not sure how many people we're going to get. So right now we're limiting it to the first 100 people. But if that is something that, we find that we get to 100 and we still have people that want to join, we'll add up. We have 25 as of this morning, and we just announced it last night. So I think things are going well with that. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Zoom to put people into breakout groups of 6 to 8 people. And we'll switch it up every 15 minutes for the full duration. We're going to have a giveaway just like we did. I'm going to sponsor this one through AbleSpark just because I want to make sure that it's going to work before we get it with any of the other sponsors that we have lined up. So, so that's what we're going to do. We think it'll be good. It'll actually be a good time to open network in small groups as opposed to a webinar that's all, there's so many of these one-way conversations these days.
Right, exactly. And, for those of you who don't know this, I do the social media for LinkAnnapolis. And so I'm going to give you a little secret. If you go over and you look at the event, there's also a link there so you can buy wine that is currently on sale. So it is a happy hour. Buy the wine and enjoy yourself. So I don't know if you saw that I put that in there. So I want to make sure that people know you can buy wine.
Yeah, I actually put up a post the other day. Marcel, who's doing the wine, and she's got some other stuff. She actually delivered to my house. I was her first delivery. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that. It's helping out a good friend of LinkAnnapolis, and it also gives you an excuse to have a happy hour.
Yeah, exactly. And we all should have happy hours every day, I think. at least until this ends.
Exactly.
All right. I want to tell you, you talked earlier about, deer in the headlights, and you had sent me over. Actually, before I start this, let me say something to everybody else who's listening. While you're listening, if you have a question, we can see them come up. We can put them on the screen. We can interact with you. So please do ask the questions. He likes to be put on the spot here. So, ask him a question, he'll answer it for you. But I do have to know, Michael, you sent me over these notes. These are the things I would like to talk about. And I said, E equals SAQ. What kind of software engineering stuff is this?
Well, it actually doesn't come out of software engineering at all. What it is that, there it is, sorry. What it is it's something that I learned. I was working in a machine shop in Crofton as building motors and fixing radiators. And the guy who was my boss always wanted me to do things efficiently. And he would tell me when I was doing something that, was taking longer or wasn't working quite right, he would say, you need to be efficient. And his definition of efficiency was efficiency equals speed, accuracy, and quality. He told me, you need to do things quickly, but as you're doing them quickly, you need to make sure that they are accurate, that you're doing the right thing, and you can't let quality suffer. So if you can combine speed, accuracy, and quality, then that by definition gives you an efficient operation. And it's something that resonated with me so much that I've held on to it for, 30 some years.
Yeah, it's a life lesson, right?
Yeah, it was a big life lesson. It's permeated me. He actually, I got a chance to see him probably 15, 20 years after I had left that organization. And I told him about this, and he was blown away that something, he was a simple old machinist, something that was that simple and made such an impact in somebody's life. He was blown away by it.
That's great. I was going to ask you whether he even knew how much of an impact this has had. So Lauren Gerlach says she loves that motto.
Awesome.
So, yeah. And so the other thing I want to remind people of, you can also use these comments to let us know what business you're in and how we might support you, because I want to use this time for both of that. I want to, we're talking to people about business here to try to help your business. So let us help you in other ways. If you have a link you want to drop down there, please do. All right. So everything you've done is that has run through everything you've done. That one E equals SAQ, right?
Yes.
So let's start with what you do in your business now and what every business really needs to think about, all the things they need to think about to make it right. So,
right. So these are things that I want everybody to understand. There's lots of people out there that work in this field, and there are, they might call themselves different things, But it just wants you to have some takeaways, some things that you can use, that you can take back to your businesses. It's really important, especially as we're doing remote work, to start thinking about some of these things. And one of the things that I found, I got a quote the other day, and I can't remember who it was by, but it was, now is not the time to sell, now is the time to build. So if you're quarantined, if you're stuck, these are things that you can think about to help your business now and in the future, and when we come out of this. So the first thing that we think about is information management. A lot of small businesses go, information management, I don't deal with that. Well, if you have customers, you got to store them somewhere. If you keep track of projects and their status, you've got to keep track of them somewhere. Whether you realize it or not, information is the foundation of your business. If you're a waterproofer, if you're a landscaper, if you're a web developer, you have a certain amount of information that if you did not have that information, your business would not run. And how you manage that, how you get that information to workers remotely, how you make sure that people can get to it quickly, that it's up to date and accurate, and that you can provide the quality of service that you want based on that information is very critical.
Yeah. And this is one of those things, you said it. You said information management. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to apply that to my business at all. And then you started talking the other day when we talked about this beforehand, and I was like, oh my God, absolutely. And I kind of got why I'm supposed to use that CRM. It was like the first time I was like, okay, this is why they keep saying that's important. And everybody has said that's important. All right, so let's talk a little bit about system integration and what that means.
So system integration is another one of those big, scary terms that us tech geeks like to throw around. But really what it means is making sure that the tools that you're using, specifically software tools, can talk to one another. And so that you can get the information that you need. I'm going to go back to quickly, that it's up to date, and that you're providing quality. So system integration, and there's different ways to handle it. A lot of it involves around getting all of your information. Again, information management is kind of the key to everything, into one place. If you've got various systems that you're using and you need to put it all together so you have one place for you and your staff to look at it. It can also be having one central location, and this is key to information management. You have one system of record. So, for example, our CRM is our system of record for our contacts, and then we push our contacts out to MailChimp. MailChimp is not our system of record. People can come and go from MailChimp. It doesn't impact my client base. So making sure that those systems talk to one another. I think it was funny. Somebody referred us to somebody the other week and said that we were like a marriage counselor for applications because we made them talk to one another. So.
I love that. And when we first talked months and months and months ago, you were talking to me, and I think it was a doctor's office, or maybe I related it to a doctor's office that I work with. And you said, they go in, they had the system that was set up for doctors, and they put all the stuff in it, and then all their information in it. And then they go to another place and they put their information in there. And then they go to a third place and they put their information in there. And it's not efficient. So you're talking about really having all of these things learn how to talk with each other and building systems that do that.
Right. And a good example, and one of the reasons why we ended up building our CRM, which I know we're going to talk about in a little while, is Kurt and I were sharing spreadsheets on Dropbox and Google Drive. And then we were taking the spreadsheets and updating MailChimp. And, if one of us didn't have the right version of the spreadsheet, or we hadn't looked at it, or we had downloaded it to our own computer, we were out of sync. And that can just cripple your business, and it just wastes so much time. It's so inefficient.
Exactly. Well, and we see it with retailers. Retailers will use a system like Square, right? Mm-hmm. They use a system like Square, and it's got all the information in it, but that doesn't work at all with their mailing platform and how they're mailing things. So they need to have something that works with all of it, and that's something I think they just don't know that they could have. They think this is the best it's going to get, right?
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, and we deal with that all the time. We've got people that are They said, well, and again, so they'll say, well, we've got Google Docs. Well, Google Docs for some people, if you have a shared spreadsheet in Google Docs, that might be enough. I have managed full projects using Google Docs because that's what the person was comfortable with.
Right.
But a lot of this is finding the right tools that work with your company and allow you to create the efficiencies that you need. So, hence the personalizing technology. We don't believe in doing cookie cutter solutions. We believe that we're going to work with you and say, this works well, this doesn't. Hey, and something might work well for the boss that doesn't work for the rest of the staff. So it's finding that middle ground and figuring out what we can do to make all of this work together.
Right. I have to tell you, so we use, for a lot of our stuff, we use Zoho Social. It's worked well for us because Zoho, and it's got a social aspect. So it works really well as a digital agency, right? But they have something in there called workflow management. And I look at it and my eyes glaze over and I have no idea what it means. And you said, we're going to talk about workflow management. And I was like, yes, because I just don't understand it. Tell me what it is and how it works.
So what workflow management is when you are running your business, you have certain tasks that you do. And those tasks have to be done in a certain order. And what we can do with that is you can examine what you are doing and basically make kind of a step-by-step chart. Use Microsoft Word. I use flowcharts, but you can use Microsoft Word. You can use anything, and just say, here's the step-by-step things that we do to run our business. And then what you can do is you can start looking at it and saying, okay, well, what of these things can be automated? A simple example is an autoresponder. If somebody sends us a sales email, I don't necessarily have to sit down and say, thank you for calling, Kurt will get back to you in 2 days. I can have that automated. That's automating my workflow. That's making me more efficient. Other things with workflow management can be assigning things, like somebody might contact our sales department, and our sales department needs to talk to me because I have a specific piece of knowledge. Being able to assign it to me so that I know that I have more work, that I have a task coming in that I have to do. So a lot of what you can do is really examine your processes and say, okay, here's where we do what we do and how we do it. What can we automate? What can we make it so it auto assigns? Where can we put in tools and tips and tricks that will allow us to make the flow of work better, so we're not all trying to figure out what we're doing and who's doing it next.
Right. Well, and you just said that processes. So we have processes in place that I feel like are pretty good, but I haven't considered, when I'm done with something, if it doesn't automatically assign to Jordan. So I do the creation of the content, and then I go back into projects or tasks and I assign her a task. But if I could automatically do that, that would make my life easier, because a lot of times I end up saying, hey, Siri, text Jordan and tell her to, and then Jordan me and says, can you please put it in tasks? And I'm like, I don't have time. So, so if I could automate that step, which I'm sure I can, and I just haven't. So it's a matter of taking the time to do that. But then as we hire people, that'll make our lives easier as well, right?
Right. I mean, that's a good example. A simple workflow management thing that you might look at is you might say, hey, every time I'm done with something, I have to assign it to the next people in line, and I might have 3 people that could possibly take care of it. So instead of you trying to sit down and take the mental energy and time to figure out who has to look at this, what do they have to do, which one of these 3 people has time, which one wants to assign, who's going to get the assignment, it would be better if you can mark it off in a system as done, complete. It gets sent to all 3 of those people, and whoever is available can take it on and handle it. Right. And that does 2 things. That frees you up to do other things, whether it's playing with Rocky or doing more work.
Right.
And it also gives you the comfort, once you're comfortable with your staff, of knowing that the baton has been handed off to somebody else who I know can handle it and I don't have to worry about it.
Right. Right. Yeah. And it's funny. You hear these words and you think your eyes do glaze over. You're like, that doesn't apply to me. Right. That's not something I need. And I've looked at that inside Zoho and thought, I don't need that. But now I'm sitting here talking. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons I do this, where you go up here, is so I can make notes. So I was making notes about that.
Well, and one of the things that I think is very important right now is workflow management. Whether people realize it or not, has come to the forefront because we're all working remotely.
Yes.
You can't yell at Anastasia across the cubicle wall anymore and say, "Hey, do this."
Right.
I know that was when Kurt and I went virtual, that was one of the big things. We couldn't just yell across the office to one another anymore. We now have to have other communication tools we have to have Slack that we use for communicating as texting one another. We have, because email is just slow and clunky at times. We have Asana, which is our project management tool, so we can keep track of what's going on. And we have other tools that we use. We use Zoom. We use, for video when we decide that we're showered enough to talk to one another face to face. So,
right, exactly.
It's the remote, workflow management's become a really, from a remote work standpoint, we've been doing it for years. It is, workflow management and making sure that all of the information is to the people that need it has become more critical than ever.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I noticed that this week. I think Tuesday, I texted everybody on my team and I'm like, look, I don't know what anybody's doing right now. I just need to talk to all of you. And, and I said, I just do. But had I had that workflow management set up, I probably would have felt more comfortable. So it's something that is really, really important. So you have a comment over here. I don't know. So playing with Rocky is definitely part of work, Tiffany.
Yes.
Definitely one part of work. I want to go back to something you said, and I'm going to let everybody in on a little secret. So last night I had my first Zoom accident. So I had been, Kurt is part of your team, and I had been Zooming with him about LinkAnnapolis. And then I hung up, and then I was doing something else, and I think I didn't leave the meeting. And then suddenly it starts dinging at me. And I'm like, oh, he must need me again. And I've never seen this happen, but okay, let me go in. And I come into the middle of yours and his meeting. So it was the first Zoom accident I've had. I'll be much more careful now to make sure I hang up. So
yeah. And I think you've seen this, but I've actually put a blog up on our website that's got information for Zoom for people that are hosting Zooms and how you can make it secure and make sure that it's you're not running into problems. I'm also going to probably do something for participants, but if anybody's been trying to use Zoom and struggling or just want some tips from some people that have been doing it a lot, feel free to visit my blog on my website. You can see it. You can see it.
What's your address? Is it AbleSpark.com?
It's AbleSpark.com, and there's a blog button. I think it's /blog, but there's a blog button up there. And the latest post is our recommendations from Zoom as of April 14th. I think it needs to be updated a little bit.
Okay. I talked to somebody yesterday, and I'm going to just throw him under the bus because he doesn't watch this anyway. So I talked to Ben from Baltimore Graphics, who you guys know I love. Yep. But I talked to him yesterday, and he said that I was his first and his third Zoom call, and there was one in between. So he's only done 3 Zoom calls, which surprised me considering how techie he is. All right, so look at that. So the link for the blog, it's so great to have a Kurt. By the way, I was going to tell you this earlier. I love the fact that you have a Kurt and I have an Anastasia, and they are both so good at things like this. They listen and they pay attention. So that's really nice.
Absolutely.
So, all right. And actually Thomas Summers on here with us as well. So next on your list of all of what how businesses run and what they need is client communication. So,
right. So this is my Achilles heel. So it's near and dear to my heart, but, what you really need, so client communication, especially again, with the remote work, communicating with clients and how you communicate with clients, giving them status updates, reaching out and saying hello, things of that nature. And what I recommend people do, if you text them, you can text them. Email is a good way for a lot of people to talk. Social media, of course, with with Anne's help is really great. But one of the things that we've actually built into our CRM, and it's because of my propensity for, if you're not saying anything to me, I assume you're fine, which is not always the case, is actually using a tool, and Outlook will do this too, and I know there's some other ones that will do this. You can even set up MailChimp to look like it's an email specifically from you, instead of a email blast. And just reach out to your customers on a scheduled basis and say, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything we can do? So that's one part of it. The other part of that is, as you're doing work for them and doing projects, is making sure that the status is updated. I mean, I was just on with somebody today who owed me some information, going, hey, it's been a week. What's going on? Don't let it sit. And if you have some tools that can automate stuff like this, like our project management tool that we use, Asana, we can set up members of the client as collaborators. And when we change a status or we put an update in Asana, it will actually it'll email the client as well. So
that's great.
It's just keeping that constant communication to let them know what's going on and to make sure that they know you still exist.
So we had a person on yesterday and she said that her biggest problem is follow-up, right? Mm-hmm. Following up with somebody. And I think that's so important because it's so easy to let that slide. And actually, I had that reminder just this morning. I sent an email on Monday to somebody I'd gotten a referral for, and she didn't get back to me the last couple of days. And I honestly, when she emailed this morning and she says, I'm so sorry I didn't get back to you, I thought, why hadn't I already followed up with her, right? Because I knew it was a hot referral. This woman really needs me. So why hadn't I already done that? Because I hadn't scheduled it for myself.
Right. And that's one of the things that we actually put when we were building our CRM. One of the things that we did was we put in a way for you to schedule an email right in the CRM for later. So I can be done with this call, with this StreamYard, Facebook Live that we're doing. And, actually say, okay, I need to reach out to Anne next Tuesday at 3:00 and ask her a question. And I can go in and send Anne an email next Tuesday at 3:00. And this is what I want the email to say. And to use the colloquialism, set it and forget it. Right. And that way I've got that confidence that I'm not having to keep track of a list that says, oh my gosh, who have I got to email? What day is it? Because I'm horrible at it too. So
well, yeah, we're very busy. You get very busy, and it's so easy to drop something, and you don't want to do that, especially, with a client or a potential client. You really don't want to do it with anybody because I'll tell you a secret. I'm going to let you in on a secret. A few weeks ago, actually probably about 3 or 4 months ago, I got a phone call. And the guy calls and he says, hey, I need somebody to handle my social media and my newsletters. And I said, oh, I can do that. And I said, then this is how much we charge. And he says, that's a lot more than I'm paying right now. And I said, well, we do it a lot differently. We're very, very active. We really pay attention to what you're doing. And he says, yeah, I just don't think I can afford it. And I said, well, I totally get that. And he hung up. A couple of weeks later, he called back. He said, can you tell me a little bit more about what you do? And I said, yeah. And he says, I don't know. He says, it's still, I'm using this other company and I'm not paying that much. And I said, well, I actually know that company. And the reason you're not paying that much is because you're not getting the same kind of service. It's very different. And he says, yeah, I get it, but I just don't think. And I said, that's all right. He called me a third time. And he said, and I answered the phone and he says, hey, I want to hire you. And I said, what changed your mind? He says, you answered the phone 3 times in a row.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And he says, if I call, and I'm going to throw them under the bus too. It was GoDaddy. The company that he was working with was GoDaddy, and they don't answer his call. And if he needs something out, he's got to tell them a couple of months ahead. Whereas he can call me today and say, hey, I have this idea of something I want to put out, right? And we're going to get it out there for you. So communication is hugely important. I'm gonna pump you up a little, and we told you we were going to go with LinkAnnapolis last night, and we've already got it out on social media and got over 25 attendees. So
and rocks.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. But no, I mean, it is that communication. It really is.
Yeah.
And I want to say one other thing about communication, because you said something about social media. And I just want to say, I wish that Facebook Messenger would figure out a way to integrate with all the other stuff, so that sometimes people will message me on Facebook Messenger, and either I don't get it for some reason, or it gets hidden among other things, or I remember that I saw something from somebody, but I'm looking through my emails and I'm looking through my my blog, my text. I'm looking through different things, and I'm like, I just can't find it. Turns out that's where they've done it. So I wish people would either not communicate through social media, through private messaging, or somehow it would start integrating with my systems.
Well, and that's very important. That's a good point, because what a lot of people don't understand, and something that I've had to get over with, is, my favorite communication method is email. You need me, email me.
Right.
A lot of my clients actually like to talk to people. So I've had to pick up the phone. So part of client communication is not only having methods of communicating, but understanding how your clients communicate and making sure you can have a two-way conversation. Because it doesn't do any good for me to message you all day if you're never on Messenger.
Right, exactly. And and that's another one is Challenger Auto. I love him, Jeff over at Challenger Auto. But he told me the very first thing he said to me is, I don't answer email. I don't answer email. I do text or I do call. And a couple of weeks ago, somehow that slipped my mind, and I emailed him. And I'm like, why isn't he emailing me back? He doesn't look. You have to, if you're going to email him, you have to text him and say, hey, I'm emailing you. So that's another good thing to keep track of in your systems, that this is how this person communicates. All right. Now, how do you pull all this stuff together? And it does no good without reporting, right?
That's right. You can have all of your information in one location. You can have all of your information from your event management system and your sorry, distracted by messages. Speaking of communication. But it does no good to have all of your information in one place, your systems integrated together, knowing your workflow, and being able to communicate with your clients if you can't find out what you've done or what you need to do. Reporting is so key to businesses. A lot of businesses don't realize this. They say, "Oh, well, I've got everything in my CRM. Who cares?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, when's the last time you talked to Ann? I don't know. Okay, when's the last time you checked up on somebody else? I don't know. How many of your clients are using your web hosting service, for example? You have 3 packages. How many are using the first package? I don't know. Well, you can't make business decisions if you can't get the information in. Getting it in is good, but getting it out is key. The whole point of this and putting everything together, there's really 2 points. There's being able to manage your business efficiently again. And now it's, in addition to that, it's how can I use the information that I have to make critical business decisions? One of the things that I know some companies that are doing now is, you'll hear pivoting as a big thing that everybody's doing. If I don't have a way to look at my services and figure out which one's got the best ROI, here we go with 3-letter acronyms, return on investment, which one am I putting the least amount of work in for the biggest payout? I don't know what I'm doing if I'm succeeding. If I'm a restaurant and my takeout business used to be 10%, can I use the information I have to ramp it up to 30% or 50%? I realize it's technically 100%, but you get where I'm going. Can I increase my sales by 50%? If you don't have reporting, you don't know if you've succeeded even. Right. So reporting is huge, and especially dynamic reporting. There's nothing more frustrating than needing a report tomorrow and having to call the developer who's going to take 3 weeks to build it.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely true. And it's for us, we look at it. I'll give you a really good example of something that we found. We had 4 packages. We had 4 different packages that you could buy from us. And the most expensive one looked great on paper. it gave the client all kinds of great things, and it was, it looked great on paper, and it's like this big check I'd get every month, and I loved that. And then we looked at it, and we were like, oh my God, I'm literally losing money on this package. We're literally losing money because of the different, how much work we have to put into it and the number of people we have to pay, right? So I want to hold on one second. Yeah, I want to go to Mandy's question. Mandy has a question, and it leads really well into our last topic, which is Odette. So she says, now she says, this is great info, and now I'm thinking of how I can use a CRM for my business. And I told you I have not been using my CRM. So Mandy, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is next in line for what we're going to do. And I think it's important. I think it's really important that we talk about it. So tell us why you created Odette, why it's different than other CRMs, and why we should be using them.
So I'm gonna focus specifically on Odette, because it does some things that some other systems don't. We haven't seen other systems do. But a CRM in general is going to be key to helping you kind of put a good solid foundation into your business and how your business operates, and allows your staff and your partners even to be able to come into one place and see everything that's going on. So Odette is a labor of love that we've done. It's been developed over the past couple of years, and it was actually born out of the idea that Kurt and I were very frustrated with some of the things that I mentioned. We were using spreadsheets for services. If we had to find a contract to see what we owed somebody or what was required for the project we were doing, he'd have to ask me, and I'd say, well, I think it's in Dropbox. No, well, it's in Dropbox, but it's in your private Dropbox. We just had all these things that, we're working remotely. And one day I sat down and said, wait a minute, we build systems for a living. We are, we are all about efficiency. This does not have any speed. It's inaccurate. Our quality is not good. We need to fix this. So we decided to build our own client relationship management system. That's what CRM stands for.
Exactly. I'm going to give you a hard time here and say you got a reminder of that.
Yes, I did.
You got a reminder because if you're watching this you're watching the comments, Kurt just mentioned that it's a customer relationship management. And you know what? That's something that I didn't know. But if you stop calling it a CRM, if I stop calling it a CRM and call it a customer relationship manager, then I am way more likely to use it.
Oh, yeah.
Relationships are what your business is built on.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, now keep going, because I do think that, yeah.
So what we did was we looked at the E equals SAQ. We're not following the big E. We're not being efficient. Okay, and then all right, what are the key components that we need to manage? And it's these five things that we've talked about. They're like, I consider them the 5 pillars of modern business systems. You have to have information management. You have to be able to integrate with the other systems that you're either forced to or want to use. You are you need to handle your workflow management. So you need to be able to know who's doing what when and be able to assign tasks to people. You need to be able to communicate with your clients, and if you keep forgetting to email them, have a way to do it. And then you have to be able to get the information out, get out the reporting. So we took it upon ourselves to build our own solution, because we had tried the other ones, and I won't. Well, there's Salesforce and Wild Apricot and HubSpot, and some of them are really good, but they didn't do what we wanted it to do. We wanted to be able to, have that ability to communicate with somebody later, set it and forget it. We wanted to be able to tie companies to clients to services and get the reports out that we needed when we needed them, and not have to worry about, hey, Salesforce, can you figure out how to do something? The other thing that's really important is we wanted to make the system flexible so that it worked with your terminology. Our registered trademark is personalizing technology. And what that means is that we really believe that the software that you're using should be working for you. You shouldn't be spending all of your time trying to figure out how to use the software, because again, it's inefficient. It's not helping your business. You're helping their business.
Absolutely.
So what we've done is we've made it very flexible. You can turn pieces on and off. The big thing that we've done, and I thought it was relatively simple, but we found out that it's been a really big deal, is we're actually allowing you to change the terminology inside the system.
That is huge.
If you have customers, call them customers. Don't force your staff to call it a client. If you have we've got leads, vendors, clients, and partners in the system. Well, partners, I'm going to do a shout out to the people that are in BNI. The whole partner thing, we call it referral partners. It's a whole way that you can track the people right in your CRM who are your BNI or other referral partners. So you can say, when you need the information, you're not going through your phone, or I'm going to date myself, your Rolodex or whatever, kind of looking for it, is right there in your central system. This becomes the heartbeat of your organization.
Right.
And it's very, and Tiffany pointed out, and I was getting to it, but then I got sidetracked. She actually was a use case that was very interesting, because we have customers and individuals, people, we call them in tech speak. So we have companies and people. And she said, well, I need to be able to manage my clients and my pets. And we thought about it, and actually I'm going to give a shout out to her husband, Kurt. He actually took Odette, and companies for Tiffany became clients and people became pets, because it's the same relationship.
Right.
And she can customize, because we have the system, when we say customize the system, everywhere it used to talk about people, it now says pets or pet. And you can customize the terminology, so she doesn't have to go through in the day and go, oh, wait, on this report it says people, on this screen it says pet, over here it says person. No, it says pets everywhere. So that's one of the key things. Kurt actually had a company that he talked to. They had a spreadsheet that had 250 lines that were terms of what they used internally in their company and what their CRM that they purchased used. Oh, so they could have their people look at it and go, okay, I need a pet. Oh, it's person. And it's just, we did this up front and said, we thought this was kind of, I thought it was normal because we're personalizing technology. So it turns out to be a novel concept.
Oh, it's totally a novel concept. And it's the thing that makes me stop doing it. Right? It's the thing where I try all these CRMs and I'm like, I give up.
Yep.
I give up. I'm done.
Yeah, and the nice thing about where we're at with the CRM is it's relatively new, and we're definitely into listening to our client base. So there are suggestions and things that have come in that we're doing to tailor it to our customers. So, if you're in there now and you see something you don't like, there's a good chance it might come in. I'll tell you a good case example. We have a new client, and they said, look, everything I do is on Apple. Everything I do is in iCloud. I've got 4,000 clients in iCloud. If I can't import them, it's no good to me. So I figured out that you can export out of iCloud into a vCard file, and we have a way where you can import vCard files in there. I don't know of any other CRM that does that.
That's great. Yeah, that's really great. That's it. And it's nice. Part of it is that it's really nice. If you get in now in particular, you're on the ground floor of this thing. So you can say to Kurt or to you, hey, so this is what we're thinking, right? This is what we need, right? So I love that you've got that. I think it's really great.
Yeah, and just to throw this out here, we're actually working on some new features. So we've got, in addition to the client customer relationship management piece with companies and people and what services they're buying, and we actually track a difference between one-time projects and services that are recurring, which I don't know of anybody else that does. But we're also adding some stuff with estimates. We're adding going to be adding some project cost features and even invoicing. So we've got a nice roadmap, and we've got an app coming out. So we've got a nice roadmap that I think in the next 6-8 year, depending on how things go, because we want to make sure, again, that it's, speed, accuracy, quality is big. We want to make sure we're delivering a quality product. I really think that, we're going to be able to handle a lot of different types of companies and be able to do a lot of the things that they're frustrated and are pulling their hair out because nothing talks to one another. So
yeah, that's great. I want to go back because you just said 6 to 8 and then you said year. So I want to make it clear that you didn't say 6 to 8 years. You said 6 to 8 months or a year. That you'll
right. We've got a roadmap that goes out for the next year of features that we're adding, aside from what we get as recommendations from our clients that are using it. But if we can get that done quicker, we will. But again, we want to make sure that we have that we put out what we know everybody's needing and using now, and not necessarily my wish list, which can wait. We really want to serve our customer base.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. So Tiffany has another question. She said, what are some of the programs that Odette will integrate with?
So right now we're pushing out slowly. We're integrating with MailChimp. We're integrating with Constant Contact. So again, you can have that one central place for your clients and still do the communication piece of it. The other one that we're integrating with right now is QuickBooks Online. And that is just pushing customers back and forth. So again, the idea is efficiency. If I enter it in once, why do I have to enter it in twice or 3 or 4 times? There's so many people out there that even I do right now. I'm entering clients into Odette, then I have to enter them into QuickBooks, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
So we're doing that. We've got some time tracking software we might be integrating with and some project management stuff. A lot of that's on the roadmap, but for right now, it's the Constant Contact, MailChimp, and QuickBooks Online are the first 3 that we're rolling out.
Okay, that's great. All right, so I put your number and your email address at the bottom so people can get in touch with you. You can also, just so everybody knows this, if you're watching this and you forget and you don't want to go back and look through the videos, you can always reach out to me and I will definitely connect you. It's the thing I love to do, connect people, so we will do that. But speaking of connections, we are going to talk one more time about LinkAnnapolis because it's Tuesday night, and it's from 6 to 8, and it's going to be on Zoom.
It's going to be on Zoom. We said it's our 10th anniversary. We hemmed and hawed, and we finally decided that we're going to go ahead and do it this coming up Tuesday from 6 to 8, just like our regular time. We're going to take advantage of a feature in Zoom where we can put people in breakout rooms. So we're not going to have 100 people trying to talk at once. We're going to have a time of a speaker. We're going to have some time, just a little bit of a sponsorship talk, and then we're going to break people out into groups of probably 6 to 8. We're thinking is going to be the best from what we've seen and what we've experienced. And you'll have 15 minutes to talk about what you do and how you do it, and just kind of get to know other people in your businesses that are in the businesses there. And then you're not stuck with them for the whole 2 hours. You get to flip-flop every 12, 15, whatever we decide, every 15 minutes. So
so I want to remind people you should register for it. We'll put, actually, Kurt, you're watching this. Can you put a link in the comments for us and let people know how they can register for it? Because you can only get 100 people into the Zoom room. Right overall.
Now, yeah. And if we find out, we were planning on having like 450 people at the 10th anniversary. If we find out that, we're at 100 and we're going to need to add another 100 seats, I'll do it. It's fine. We'll do it. We definitely, our big thing with LinkAnnapolis is just what it says. It's linking out. It's connecting the local community and the local business community specifically. And I don't think that's ever been more important than it is right now.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I miss everybody. I really do. I miss seeing everybody. So I think it's really important for us to get together. I think it's great. So,
yeah, I have decided that I am not George Thorogood. I do not drink alone. So
exactly. Yeah, that sounds right. I want to talk a little bit about what we've got going on Monday. Monday, we've got Cherise Irons. I don't know how many of you were at Burgers and Bands a couple of years ago, but there was a point where I turned around and somebody was standing there and I hugged her huge and I started crying. And that was Cherise Irons. She's somebody who is just near and dear to my heart. And she does leadership coaching with John Maxwell, and she's going to talk about leadership during crisis. So I think it's a really timely time to have her own, right? Let's see, a couple of more Oh, Mandy Slate. So, Mandy, can you answer Kurt's question? She's got some questions. Or Mandy, Kurt's got a question for you. But I can tell you, she is a blogger. She's a content writer, so she creates contents for business. So that's she's really good at what she does. So definitely reach out to her, and Mandy, Kurt can help you there. So, and then I want to go back and give one more plug to Odette. Kurt says, be a beta tester for Odette and save for the first 12 months. It's a good time to do that. And we got in, I will tell you, when we got in on Zoho for our Zoho social part, we were beta testers. And it was so great because we were able to say, hey, we'd like it to do this. And so many of the things they have in it are things that we helped develop. So I think it's very good. I'm so glad you came on, Michael. This was great. I know you were a little bit nervous before we started, but you did great. You didn't mess up at all.
This was fun. This was fun. I'm looking at the time going, wow, we can talk. So
well, I think it's okay. I think it's okay that we talk. I don't think people mind it. I think they enjoyed it. And it'll go again. It's out on YouTube, it's out on Facebook, and it's out on Twitter. So please, 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 the one I'm really focused on right now, if you can please go and go and subscribe to me on Twitter and leave comments. That would help me as well. So we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Michael.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yep. Bye-bye.